When you hand over your hard-earned money to an investment professional, you're not just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. You are actually entering into a formal, legally protected relationship. So, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and break down the powerful rules that act as your shield, making sure your interests always come first. So, let's just start with a really fundamental question. When you hire a fund manager, who is really in charge of your money and all the decisions made with it? Now, the answer might seem obvious, but the legal framework behind it, well, that's what truly gives you, the investor, all the power. Okay, let's dive right into this. The entire relationship is built on a classic legal idea that puts you firmly in the driver's seat. It's known as the principal-agent relationship. And it sounds complicated, but it's not. You are the principal. You're the one who gives them the authority to act. The fund manager, they're your agent, hired to work on your behalf. This is not a partnership of equals. It's a legal structure where the agent is required, by law, to serve the principal's goals. Plain and simple, you're the boss.
Okay, so this relationship exists, but how is it made official? What are the actual ground rules? Well, let's get into the single most important document in this entire process.
And that document is the Investment Management Agreement, or IMA. I want you to think of it as the constitution for your investment. It's a legally binding contract that lays out everything: your financial goals, what the manager is and isn't allowed to do, the kinds of risks they can take, and exactly how they get paid. As the source material really hammers home, knowing what's in this agreement is absolutely vital.
But here's the thing. Beyond that written contract, there's an even higher standard at play. It's a deep ethical and legal obligation that really underpins everything the fund manager does for you. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The source states it so plainly. The manager acts as a fiduciary. Now, this isn't just some fancy business jargon. It's a legal status that carries an incredible amount of weight and responsibility. So, what is a fiduciary duty? Well, it is the highest standard of care in finance, period. It means your fund manager must, legally and ethically, put your interests above their own and even above their own company's interests. It's a duty of absolute, undivided loyalty and good faith. And this, right here, is what truly separates a professional fund manager from just another person selling a service. Okay, so you have the IMA, you have the fiduciary duty, but what happens if something goes wrong? Well, there isn't just one law protecting you. There's an entire legal safety net. Now, what's really fascinating here is how these layers all work together. You've got contract law, right? That's what gives the IMA its teeth. Then, you're protected from careless or just plain bad management by laws on negligent misstatement. Trust law comes in and reinforces those duties of good faith we just talked about. And then, on top of all of that, you have specific regulations like the Capital Markets and Services Act of 2007, which lays out explicit black and white rules for how licensed professionals have to behave. All right, let's talk about where this whole framework gets tested most often, in the murky waters of potential conflicts of interest. This is really where the rubber meets the road. A fiduciary has to always put the client first. A conflict of interest pops up whenever the manager's personal gain, or the gain of someone they're connected to, could potentially influence their decisions. The duty demands they act for your benefit. A conflict tempts them to act for their own. See the difference? So how does the system stop this from happening? Well, it's not just left to chance. You've got 3 key pillars of prevention. First, internally. Companies have to have a strong code of ethics that sets really clear boundaries. Then, at a higher level, robust corporate governance acts as a kind of watchdog to make sure there's oversight. And finally, the law itself, through regulations like the CMSA, steps in with really strict requirements on how conflicts have to be managed, or even better, avoided altogether. So, the most crucial point here is that as an investor, you are literally surrounded by layers of protection. Let's just quickly recap this toolkit you have at your disposal. It all comes down to this 4-part shield. Step 1, remember, you are the principal. You're in charge. Step 2, your rulebook is the investment management agreement. Step 3, your manager owes you that fiduciary duty, the highest level of loyalty. And step 4, all of this is backed up by the full force of contract, trust, and regulatory law. That's your protection. Look, understanding this framework isn't just some academic exercise. It's the foundation of being a confident and protected investor. It ensures that the person managing your money isn't just working for a fee.
They are legally and ethically working for you.